All right, sorry for being a little late, so we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you for being here today. Before I get started, I want to thank the partnering agencies that partnered with us today. You see Major Palia from Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Chief Warner from Maple Grove Police Department, Jay Henthorn from Richfield, and Sakic from Eden Prairie. Also want to thank our agencies and detectives. Some of the stuff that they had to listen to for some of these folks is quite frankly just flat out filthy. And to do that for as long as they had to do that, we don't pay them enough sometimes for deal what they have to deal with. So Bloomington is a city where we got 49 hotels and 10,000 hotel rooms. I think that makes us the city that has the most hotels and hotel rooms in the state of Minnesota. We partner with staff and management at these hotels in our consistent efforts to eradicate human trafficking in our city. So what is human trafficking? I know a lot of times we've come up with these nice fancy terms to describe something. Quite frankly, human trafficking is just when people force someone else to sell their body and they get the money for it. It is what it is, and it's not, we can use a fancy term for it, but that's essentially what it is. Now, our approach here in Bloomington, along with our partners here, we do a lot of this along the 494 corridor, is we take a multifaceted approach in our attempts to stop human trafficking. And these include working together. We target male customers who are looking to seek out sex from sex workers, either adult or juveniles. This past week, members of our Special Investigations Unit teamed up with investigators from Eden Prairie, Maple Grove PD, Richfield PD, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office to conduct a 2-day detail. We did that last Wednesday and Thursday, focused on male customers seeking sex services from adult sex workers. The investigators on the detail created an advertisement with photos of an undercover officer and posted it on websites we know are used by those seeking sex services from sex workers. 211 people interacted with our ads in a span of 2 days. We arrested 23 people, and you're going to see who they are today. We're also investigating the 24th. That investigation is still ongoing, but the 24th person is someone we've arrested before, so we're still trying to wrap up that investigation. So before I get to these guys, I'm going to start off with a quote from a R&B singer. He told everybody that he was the Pied Piper. Either no one paid attention or no one believed him until they did. The same R&B artist said, "My mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes." These guys here, just like the R&B singer R. Kelly, should have followed his own advice. So I'm going to take this off here and show you who these guys are, and then we're going to go through a couple of them. And we all know in Bloomington how we have our orange jumpsuits here. If you break the law, that's what you get. So the first person I'm going to talk about is Andrew James McKeevy. He's 36 years old. He is a person who is experiencing homelessness and currently homeless. Well, to be homeless, he found the means to catch a transit bus to come meet with our undercover officer. And he bought $200 in cash with him. Homeless. Okay. So we locked him up too. Next, Sarek Telke, 51 years old, respiratory therapist. His breathing was all right when we locked him up too. Next, Sanchez Ronaldo Roker, 31 years old. He shows up with a gun he ain't supposed to have because he's a convicted felon. He has a previous conviction for fifth-degree crim sex conduct. We locked him up. Next, Richard Brian Anderson came here all the way from Durand, D-U-R-A-N-D, Wisconsin, and he showed up armed. We locked him up too. Next, Daniel Sanchez, 30 years old. He is a permit holder, but he showed up with a gun. And when he showed up with the gun and our arrest team went to interact with him, he reached for his pocket for the gun. Our SIU detectives are the best, and I keep saying that at what they do. So we took him into custody without incident. And next, Michael Andre, 50 years old. He said to our investigators, I watch many movies, obviously, cops in the bathroom or in the room next door, and they come in, my mind is running now. Just like R. Kelly, his mind was telling him no. He probably should have listened to that. This is the red light district in Amsterdam. We don't have one of these in Bloomington. We got the orange jumpsuit district. So if you come do that here, you go to jail. We got the best airport in the country right over there. So if you want this type of service, you get on a plane and go there. You don't do that here because we give you orange jumpsuits. And I'm going to finish with this. Sometimes people don't, they look like, oh, it's just guys being guys or people going after, they're going after these guys. But I want to explain something to people. There's a higher likelihood that I would be able to get on a Huffy bicycle and get to the moon than one of these guys calling the police to report that they had just encountered a victim who was a sex worker. I highly doubt they would do that. Matter of fact, they'd probably be calling and asking when can they get their next appointment. The business of selling people's bodies for money is something that we don't take lightly here in this city. Our partners here, they don't take it lightly in their cities either. So we're going to do whatever we can to eradicate human trafficking, and this is just one phase of that. So again, I just want to emphasize for the people thinking about coming here and doing this, Amsterdam, red light district, #1 airport in the country, right over there. You want those types of services? You go there. Bloomington, and the cities behind me, orange jumpsuit district. You want these services here? This is what you get. All these folks, with the exception of the few that had weapons, are going to be charged by our city attorney with gross misdemeanor sex offense for hiring, offering, or agreeing to hire an individual 18 years of older to engage in sexual penetration or sexual contact. The one person who was Sanchez, Roker Sanchez, will be charged with we're submitting charges for him to be considered by the county attorney for felon in possession of a firearm. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have. So if you look, you kind of see all of us here have a piece in the 494 corridor, and that's where a good chunk of our hotels are in Minnesota. So it's better to partner with each other on that and to have good partnerships. I mean, really, without partnerships, we wouldn't be able to do these investigations the way we do them, because each department has its own specialty that they bring to the table, and it really makes it successful events in terms of being able to get some of these people locked up and other aspects of this of being able to rescue human trafficking victims.
You mentioned one guy was all the way from Wisconsin, but where are the bulk of these things coming from?
So we had one person from Eden Prairie, Mound, Farmington, Forest Lake, St. Paul Park, St. Paul, Savage, Edina, Brooklyn Center, 2 people from Bloomington, and they should really know better. Brooklyn Park, Montrose, Hopkins, Richfield, Prior Lake, Burnsville, and Cottage Grove and Fridley.
How often are you guys coming across weapons in these cases, weapons being brought to meet with these sex workers?
So I think a percentage-wise, I'm gonna guess here. I'm probably gonna say probably 10% of the time. And in this instance, we arrested 23, and 3 of them had weapons. So it's a little bit lower probably than what we would expect if you were to get more people. But again, that's an educated guess on my part.
Okay, yeah. How often do you guys do these type of stings, and is it part of kind of a bigger picture, kind of looking at how you're tackling the situation?
So I won't comment on how often we do them, but it is a part of a bigger picture, and I said it's multifaceted. So this one focused on male perpetrators, other aspects focus on other aspects of human trafficking also, and we do those periodically throughout the year.
You mentioned human trafficking, and it really spent a paragraph on that in the press release as well. Are the sex workers that are being sought in Bloomington typically victims of human trafficking?
We're still trying to figure that out by and large, and that's what part of this investigation is for. So when we arrest these folks, typically there's a process in which we go through to see if they are in fact seeking the services or utilizing the services of someone who's been trafficked.
Do we know anything about who's behind or who's at the head of this operation, if it's a singular operation or if there's multiple players involved?
Yeah, in terms of it's normally going to be multiple players. I mean, we haven't found in our area of responsibility a organization per se that's doing this. So it's mainly, an individual that may have multiple other people that they're trafficking working for them, but not like a organization doing it.
Okay. I guess, can you speak to the strategy of bringing in people who, the customers, if you will, and is that a part of getting up the chain?
Yeah. So why do you deal with the Johns per se, right? Because there's a demand there for that, right? So you have to really make sure that if you're going after the demand, you're going to lessen the likelihood of people wanting these types of services. But the Johns do provide information in terms of being able to locate other potential human trafficking victims. So when we get these people, there's an investigative process that goes in place, and we're looking at a lot of aspects regarding these individuals in terms of their contact with other potential sex workers. So, for example, on these websites that we go to, you can see a lot of these folks that are placing ads. It's reasonable to assume that a lot of these folks could be sex workers, right? And it's one of the things for us to make sure that we go through and try to investigate that. And one way to do that is focusing on the Johns, because obviously if someone is going to be a consumer of these type of services, is more than likely not the first time that they've done it. So attempting to look at what types of people they're looking at to potentially identify human trafficking victims is the reason why we go after the Johns.
I see. So you're more looking to help or search out the victims to help them than to bring in their bosses.
Yes. And also rescue them. I mean, really at the end of the day, that's the most important part when we do this. And I think we'd all agree is that, if we got to do this and we rescue one person, it's worth it, right? But the process of someone selling their body and giving someone else the money against their will is something that we just can't tolerate.
In this certain situation, you were posing as the sex worker, correct?
Yes.
But in other situations, have you run into where you actually make contact with some of the sex workers, and kind of what are some resources or support that you guys are able to offer in a situation like that?
Yeah, so in the past and other operations, again, this is multifaceted. So we do those types of operations, and we have counselors and people who specialize in helping people get out of these situations. When we do that operation, those folks partner with us, and they're with us to be able to provide those services right then if we identify people. So the next time we do conduct one of those, we'll make sure that we bring that information forth so people can actually see behind the scenes what we do for that.
You mentioned working
I think it's working. Our hotels are great partners, right? So what happens is, say a hotel suspects there's human trafficking going on, they'll call our special in Bloomington. They'll call our special investigations unit and our partners. They'll do the same in those areas, and then we'll start working those investigations. Because without our hotel partners, we wouldn't be able to do what we do here regarding these types of investigations.
So you wouldn't say they were
You said liable or reliable?
liable?
Oh, no, they by and large, our hotels in this city do a good job of reaching out to us when they suspect someone is being trafficked. Now, if they don't do that, do I think they'd be liable and culpable in that? Yes, I do. But that's not happening.
Was this timed any like event in town, or is this what was the tell me about the timing?
Random. Yep. And if we have events or something that we feel the need to do it, like we had the Super Bowl or some of these other large events, we'll do it. But by and large, we try to do these randomly so people don't know when they're coming.
One more clarifier. You mentioned that Bloomington has the most hotels in the area, but you didn't expressly say that it's, I hate to say, a hot spot for
Mhm.
sex work and prostitution, but is it?
The Twin Cities area in general is one of the top hot spots in the country. If you look at a lot of the newspaper articles published for sex trafficking, and obviously being a city that has such a large amount of hotels, I'm going to say we're not, and I think that's because we've even had some people that were involved in this process that know if you come here, you get one of these orange jumpsuits. So, but if we did not get out here and enforce these types of operations, again, we could easily turn into that. I mean, our city here in Bloomington, we got the airport, we got these highways, and we got all these hotels. And if we did not get out here and actively do that, this would be a hot spot. One of you guys know? Sorry, I'm looking at my detectives back there.
The investigators take a lot of time and know the steps that are required to get a conviction. And so they really work hard to ensure that that would occur when the arrests are made. So the percentage is very high. Like I said, we had the one that we had dealt with before. We're still waiting for information on that. But by and large, the majority of them are convicted.
Any other questions?
I guess what's the next step in this? Are there going to be continued sting operations, if you will, going forward like this one, or?
Us on the 494, absolutely. Yeah, and again, this was one facet, which was the male, focusing on male Johns, but there's also other facets that we'll be working on throughout the 494 corridor. So I'm going to re-emphasize my message. If that's the services you want, you got the #1 airport right over there. Get on a plane, go to Amsterdam. Don't come here. Because you come here and we catch you, you're going to get one of these orange jumpsuits. And that's for all of us. Any questions? All right. Thanks.